Hmm. Hello, everybody. It's Malachi, DBZ League staff member and Tenkaichi 3 modder. Today, we're going to do something a bit different than what we normally do on the channel. Um, for a long time, I've been wanting to help demystify Tenkaichi 3 modding so that more people can take advantage of what we have available and maybe do some impressive things with the game, especially as we get ready for Sparking Zero coming out very soon. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. The first thing to note is I've got two tools up on my computer screen. One is AFS Explorer, and one is Sparking Studio. AFS Explorer has been around a long time. There's lots of links for it online. Sparking Studio is a tool created by HeroTech, who is one of the fan-made Tenkaichi 4 developers. A link to this particular tool is in the description below. And specifically, what these tools do is AFS Explorer helps open up PS2 games and helps you look at the different files in the game. Just generically, Sparking Studio is geared towards Tenkaichi 3 specifically. And so we're going to be spending a lot of time in Sparking Studio. Um, but the first thing we're going to look at is if you have um, uh, demo. So if you have an ISO, you can open it up in AFS Explorer. This prompt will open up, and you're going to see a few different things in here. Most of these we're not going to worry about, like this SLUS file in combination with the DBZP bin. That this is pretty much kind of like the brains of the game, where with a different tool also made by HeroTech, we could do some modding of things like the health pushback that we frequently see, or which characters in the game you can have multiple of. But we're not going to worry about those today. We might look at that in a later video. Where we're going to spend our time today is in this directory called data. These are all the game assets. This US1 file contains like all the character files, maps, Pataras, menus, things like that. The other one we'll probably spend some time in later is this US2 file, which contains all the character audio. But we'll go ahead and load this up. And once we load this up, you'll see we have all these files. Most of them are labeled as unknown with some number .unk, which also just means unknown. And in theory, we could just extract these files individually and mod them in a hex editor, and that's all we would need. However, AFS Explorer allows you to change the file names uh, in the ISO with a tool with what is called an AFL list, and Sparking Studio comes bundled with a number of these. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to open up AFS Explorer and go into Sparking Studio's AFL list, and using the one for PZ S3 US1, we're going to load this up, and that will make it a lot easier to know what specifically we're modding. So in here, we'll see several different file types. The two primary ones what we'll see at this level are pack files. Think of them like zip files. They're really just a container for other, a bunch of other files to be bundled together. DBT files are images. So like right here, we have Goku underscore 0 is just the naming convention used for early Goku. So this is the image on a, when it says tag P1, that means if you're running a PvP match, player 1 that this is early Goku's tag image, and P2 is if it's the second player. So let's go ahead and extract Android 17. In AFS Explorer, you can just do Control S to do a search, and what we'll see, as we do the search on Android 17, we'll just go down the list, see the tag. This image file is like on the roster selection page, and CDBT just means compressed DBT. And here's where we're going to get to the actual costume file for Android 17. Each character in Tenkaichi 3, by default, has at least 10 files associated with them in the US1 file, AFS. So they'll have, there are 4 main files for the costumes, a corresponding damaged costume file, an animation file, and an effect file. Animations are exactly what they sound like. That is when you have a character's melee or poses they do for different things. Effects are like the graphical elements of your B2s, your B1s, things like that. Some shared animations, like your generic transformation ones, like Super Saiyan or that red transformation aura, are common to everybody, so they're not included here. And then there's also a few characters have special animation files. And we're not going to look at those today, but they have special animation files that are kept elsewhere in the US1 AFS. So for now, we're just going to export this Android 17 costume 1. Because what we'll do is we'll take a look at all the different things going on in that, so I can give you a quick introduction to the different files in here, and maybe we'll let mod him so that Android 17 can transform into Super 17. So going there, and you see that now we have this file extracted here, and in Sparking Studio we can open up that file. And the first thing that'll happen is if we can just either do open file, or if you look at over here, there's this unpacking context menu, and under there it will say unpack or unpack all files. Opening or unpacking will do the same thing. So in here we see a number of other file types as well. We've already talked about DBT files, MDL, that has to do with the character model itself. Textures, that's like the actual costume for a character. DAT files are the actual data parameters. Like common parameters is just a bunch of different parameters, they're all kept together. Melee is exactly what it sounds like. Keyed-in is your rush blasts. Movement parameters, kind of self-explanatory. Not quite sure what gimmick does. Blast param is your B2s and ultimate. Skill is B1. Com param, for the most part, we don't actually know what all is in here. We know it's different for a number of characters. The main thing we do know about this particular file is that it controls whether or not a character can transform and at what percentage health the character will transform. Any other parameters we don't really know about yet. But research is going on there, and things are still being learned about the game. Camera param controls the angles at which a B2 or melee attack is shown, like your grabs or things like that. One thing we will look at, we have some of these We do have a few custom animations in here that are either placeholders or uh, different for everybody. Why they're kept in here and not in the animation file likely has to do with file size limitations on a lot of things. Um, there are some hard limitations on file sizes, and so these animations may be kept in here, or perhaps that was so that you could have different animations whether or not you were in a damaged costume. I don't really know. Um, and these text files are primarily for your menu things like on the skill list. So like your B2 moves, your melee combo names, transformations, things like that are in these text files in different languages. So JP is Japanese, US is US English, UK is UK English, so on and so forth. And then, as I understand it, these LPS files are for character lip flaps. Um, so yeah, but yeah, let's go ahead and we'll open up in Sparking Studio this common parameter file, and we'll take a look at what all is here. Um, on this first screen, we have all the different melee combos that 17 has enabled and what is set in each one. And then also what extra combos he may get in max power mode here on the right. Up here in the top left, we see his energy blasts, charge energy blasts available, dragon homings, and vanishing attacks. These could be enabled here, or their values changed. For the most part, I think most characters can have up to 3, anywhere from 0 to 3 for these. For the most part, uh, the only characters that have 0 on anything are your giant apes that don't have vanishing attacks. Although I believe Hercule and Videl also don't have vanishing attacks. General parameters are some other miscellaneous ones. For the most part, I don't know that a lot of these general flags do too much other than like can absorb energy blasts. Android is the flag that lets you know if you can passively charge or you can't actively charge would be the better way to say it. Majin, the only effect that really has is if your character has that, they'll get that steam sound when they do the active charging. Um, yeah, and there's different things like that in here. Can't fly, but some of the ones like Super Saiyan 2, 3, and 4, I think that controls what type of aura they have to some extent. But as you can see over here on the left, we also have a similar marking. Weight really just controls. I think this is the one that primarily controls any effects on the map that might happen. Like if you're a giant, that is when you start getting some of the shaking on the ground when the giant's walking. Down here in the bottom left, you can see the Devil Might Beam damage multiplier. That's really just like how evil a character is. So like um, the way it works is Devil Might Beam does a base 30,000 damage, and this multiplier means the Android 17 will take 40% of that 30,000. Underneath here in transformation and fusion bonuses, this is so that if a character transforms into this, another character transforms into this, they could help. They could regain health or key or whatever. Like for here, if we change 17 to transform into Super 17, and we went into Super 17's files, we could check these boxes so that 17 recovers a health bar or recovers full key. Balance settings for our DBZ League members. This is where you know a lot of these numbers are going to seem very familiar because we've added them to our player calculator. But this is where a lot of the things that we nerf will be looked at. Uh, Auto regenerate key bars, that's how many bars of key you passively charge. Key bars to recover at guard crush. That's if you get guard broken, how many bars of key do you need to charge up to go back to normal? Key charge speeds, your active key charging. Key regeneration is your passive charging. Not quite sure what quick recovery is. Counter is when you do a high speed dodge. Um, most of the rest of these are pretty, uh, you know, pretty self-explanatory. Damage taken. This is a multiplier to your defense level. So the smaller, the closer this number is to 0, the better. 1 is base defense, and anything bigger than 1 means you're going to be taking more damage. Other settings, these are all really unknown. They may be unused. Then we have 2 very similar screens, one for transformations and one for fusion. Transformations, they're pretty straightforward. You have a limit of 4. You can talk about, and you can set what character they transform into, what type of camera to use, or what type of transformation it is. You can have normal, back to, quote unquote normal, which is really just like that cutscene you have for Super Saiyan transformations, or like 13 into Super 13. And then you get some of the special ones like cell absorption or peel off machine. Um, Effect talks about the aura that might be used in the transformation. Night only and artificial moon have some special attributes to them, so we won't really look at that today, because that requires updating some animations as well. An assist means if there's another character who's involved, like with Cell, when you have 17 or 18 getting absorbed, you would put them in this assist place, or in this assist toolbox. Next form is so yeah, and you have that all these settings for 1 through 4. Next form tells the game, okay, if you're doing your transformation thing, which slot should I look at when you put in the control for the default transformation? In this case, you want so like if we were to add a transformation here, we would want first transformation. Fusions, and we'll come back to transformations in a moment. Fusions, very similar to transformation. You have the fusion type, the result. Fusion type being just the fusion dance or the Batara. Result is which character you're transforming into, and then you can specify up to 4 forms for the partner. So, like, if we were to look at Goten, you would see base Kid Trunks and Super Saiyan Kid Trunks. For the only time we really use all 4 slots, I think, is on N Vegeta or Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, who has all of N Goku or GT Goku's forms in these different slots. So yeah, but as I said earlier, we're not really going to look at this right now. Because it's a little more complicated to add a fusion to a character than a transformation. For today, let's just give a demo, and let's make 17 transform into Super 17. So here, we'll make him, give it normal camera with a blue aura, no assist, and let's make it cost 2 Blastox. And then down here, we have it's marked as the first transformation. We'll save the file. And then to get this back into the game, what we'll do is when we opened up the file in Sparking Studio, it unpacked the file, and now we need to repack it. So I'll navigate back to this directory where I was keeping everything, and then I'll repack it there. And then over here, I'll import the file, and select it. A big thing to note here is when you're importing files into the game and you're overwriting an existing one, file names have to match exactly. Otherwise, AFS Explorer won't import it. Yeah, so now we've modded it in. You can see right here that the modified date has changed to today's date and time, and we can. Oh, Sparking Studio is gonna, or not Sparking Studio, but uh, yep, that because that changed the name of the file, and now we can just come in here, training, and because I'm terrible at playing this game, but 17, we'll do costume 1. And now that we have loaded it up, might take me a second to trigger this right. There we go. And now 17 transforms into Super 17. And there you go. And if I switch him over to the second costume, since we didn't mod that over, it's going to be slow because I turned off the turbo. What we'll see is because we didn't mod it, Super 17 won't be able to transform this time. You know, which gets into for the league. Whenever we do a mod, I have to do it for all of the costumes and damaged costumes. But yeah, see how I do the attack and nothing. So, but yeah, so, but yeah, thanks for watching this. I hope if you like this, let me know, and I'll probably be making some more of these in the future to cover different mods that we have done in DBZ League. And we've done several, and I'll try to cover a little bit of everything that I'm able to do. But I hope this has been informational and interesting to you. But thanks for joining me, guys. Y'all have a good one.